Warning, mature content ahead. You are now entering the Atomic Nerd Alert. What is going on, all of you weird Dorkosaurs of the Dorkosaur army? It is I, Jordan, the overlord of all Dorkosaurs, and I'm back with the weirdo of all weirdos of all Dorkosaur sisters, Holly.
I'm not the weirdo. You're the weirdo.
Nah, everybody knows you're really the weirdo.
How?
Because you don't speak up as much. You need to.
That's not being a weirdo.
Yeah, it is.
No,
it's like
not.
The fly on the wall there.
Oh my god.
I'm just going to watch the show and just stare at Geralt of Rivia's abs. That's weird. That's weird.
You're weird.
But anyway, as you guys have already figured out, we are continuing the saga of The Witcher. As you guys know, we are going into the final 2 episodes right before the big climactic season finale.
Yes. And then sadness, because there won't be any more until, 2021 now?
Yeah, they filmed a good majority of it. I think at least the first third of the season before everything got shut down because of COVID-19.
I would think so.
So
It would make sense.
So we will probably be waiting till 2022 in reality if things don't get better.
Sadness.
Alright, so as you guys have already guessed, Holly's gonna go in with what happened in the show. I will go in with what happened in the book. And then we will be giving our opinions and what we thought of the episode as a whole. How Netflix did. You know, the usual.
Yeah.
What were the titles of the first 2 episodes?
So we have episode 5. Title is Bottled Appetites. And episode 6, Rare Species.
Rare Species.
Species.
Species. So take us into what the first episode was about.
So the synopsis for Bottled Appetites, it is heedless of warnings. Yennefer looks for a cure to restore what she's lost. Geralt inadvertently puts Jaskier in peril. The search for Ciri intensifies. I'm
going to go ahead and say it. The Ciri line we've already talked about from the last episode with Brooklyn Forest. It's when she's coming out of Brooklyn Forest, but they added a new element into it with the Doppler.
Yeah. It was very interesting to see the Dopplers, especially this one Doppler, who ends up becoming Mousek.
Yeah, that one was a little weird for me.
It was really weird. It was ugh.
It's mostly because Mousek is still in the book series. He doesn't get killed off by any Dopplers.
Right.
But what I was a little upset about with that as well, I just don't like how they handled the Brooklyn Forest with Ciri's storyline at all, like leading up to her meeting Geralt. With the Doppler story that was in the storyline Eternal Flame, which is in the Sword of Destiny. You can read that one if you would like. I'm not going to get too much into it, but the story was about a Doppler named Dudu, who was using money and the appearance of a halfling, a merchant, actually, to get more money and buy and sell trades in like a shady way that Martha Stewart would be cringing about because it's the exact same way that got her into prison.
Ew.
But back in that day, it was completely fine. But he took on this merchant Biebervelt's appearance and decided to trade a bunch of stocks and trade a bunch of furs and what have you that would ultimately give him the most money. Biebervelt hired on Geralt to figure out who was using his name. There was a bunch of the guys from the Priests of the Eternal Flame, which is one of the main antagonists in the Witcher video games, in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. That's in the Novigrad area. Because they're like, let's burn the witch like it's fucking Salem.
Ew.
Yeah, they do that with anybody that's non-human. Elves, dwarves, halflings, especially Dopplers. They heard about Doppler.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's a very visceral world. But they were trying to figure out all of that, and it turns out it was a Doppler named Dudu, who gets a slash across his face. The show, it has Kahir fighting himself and slashing the dude across the face, the Doppler. So I'm like, are they trying to allude to it being Dudu? Because Dudu's not a psycho serial killer that skins people.
And the whole Doppler loving kids thing?
Yeah.
Do they mean like they eat kids?
Dopplers don't. They're very benign, I would say. They're not malignant at all. Some of them can be, just like with humans. Some definitely are the scum of the earth. But Dopplers can take anybody's appearance and then their thoughts and emotions. Can't take on their memories, but they could take on their thoughts, emotions, and how they would react in different situations. So with this, that's how he was able to convincingly for a while say that he was Mousak when he wasn't really Mousak.
Gotcha.
Dopplers aren't vicious, really. They do things for coin. Most of them tend to shapeshift into animals so they can live in the forest. Nobody bothers them there. Mm-hmm. If they're going into human territory, that's when they have to worry about the Priests of the Eternal Flame trying to hunt them down to murder them.
Interesting.
So with Kahir trying to capture the Doppler and give him coin and say, murder Mousak, that's not Dudu. If people are thinking that's Dudu, or if Netflix is going to claim that that's Dudu, I'm going to be so pissed, because that is not Dudu. He is not malicious at all.
Okay. So what about the jars?
Like I said, the jars with the skinning people alive, that's not what Dopplers do. That's just that one particular Doppler that is a serial killer putting pieces of skin in jars.
That really kind of with me. It was gross. I wasn't expecting that.
No.
So moving on, let's talk about when we first see Yen in the episode and how she's working in this town to help lovers in need, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Is that what she did in the books too?
Not really. Do you want me to go into the TLDR?
Yeah.
For the books? Okay. So this one was The Last Wish from The Last Wish. Beginning of it, Jaskier and Geralt are fishing as they run out of food on the road, squabbling like siblings. Suddenly, they catch an old potted jar, which Jaskier notices it right away. Geralt doesn't really realize it. He's not hunting for a genie at all. But he notices it right away that it is a djinn. They tussle about it in a game of like keep away, and it breaks. And immediately Jaskier starts making wishes, but the djinn attacks him, garroting him as Geralt demands that he be quiet to try to figure out where the hell this djinn is going, because they're very, very, very dangerous with genies. The genies. Gina.
Oh my god.
Don't let people say like it's like all like Aladdin and everything, when genies are really out for themselves. They're cunning, conniving, like Gantaro dim sort of creatures.
So would you say this one would be more like Jafar as the genie?
In a sense, yeah. With Geralt, he's like, well, fuck. And after Jaskier is garroted, and he throws Jaskier on Roach and Rise like the El König is chasing him. Just like keeps going and going, and but he's not seeing phantoms or anything like an El König. The nearest town that's close by Novigrad, they get there and are immediately barred from getting in. There's a first responder who is an elf named Kiradon. I believe. I'm butchering that completely. But he tells them that there's a sorceress who sought asylum with the merchant of Novigrad, because the town was being overtaken by the priests of Eternal Flame before they became the priests of Eternal Flame, and they wanted to burn all the witches like it was Salem. So there was one half of the town that's like, no, we need sorcerers. The other half was like, we don't, and they all should die. Let's see here. They also figured out that it was pointing to a cunning, conniving, skeeving little cockroach that he was absolutely enamored with, the elf Círdan, and it was Yennefer of Vengerberg.
Ooh.
It was the first time that they met Yen. So Geralt leaves Jaskier. I think he leaves him in the tent with them. I'm not 100%. It's been a while since I've read it. Been since November, actually. He leaves Jaskier and seeks out Yennefer while the elf is calling back saying, hey, coin opens all doors. Just make sure you have your coin ready because she's going to ask for it. The people at the front gate are going to ask for it. Geralt goes. Geralt gets to the merchant Bo Bernhardt's home, who is exhausted and under some sort of spell, so he spots Geralt and tells him to bring up some apple juice, because witches love apple juice. Immediately, Bo falls asleep. There's no orgies happening at all.
Right.
Geralt walks upstairs and is smacked in the face with the pungent smell of lilac and gooseberries. It's such a good smell.
It really is. I do make soaps as well, and I made one that had lilac and gooseberry scent in it. And we get what Geralt's talking about.
Yeah, it's like sin in a bottle of what a lady should smell like that is just too alluring.
Yes.
It's something that you can like smell all the freaking time. So we get it, Geralt. We get it.
Yes, we get you.
But he's smacked in the face with lilac and gooseberries, as well as spots a naked raven-haired woman in the bathtub. She starts talking to him. Geralt's a little bit intrigued by it, but she's also annoyed because she's very uppity and talks down to him, and they start immediately debating like it's a fucking debate club or something. But she turns invisible, and while she's finishing her bath, and Geralt's like, hey, that's cheating, you can't do that. And she's like, look away from me, even though she's invisible. It's really, really weird. They're just bantering back and forth like an old married couple already. She won't even fully talk to him unless he gets in the bathtub because she can't stand the smell of monsters and horseshit. And that's all what Geralt smelled like, because all he did was hunt monsters, never bathe, and ride his horse.
Yeah, that would definitely turn me off.
Yeah. So he agrees. He gets in the tub. They get to talking a little bit and tells her about the djinn. She is obsessed about the djinn a bit, mostly because she wants the power for wishes to try to get her ability to have children back. But first she has to make sure that it doesn't destroy the town, that it doesn't kill Jaskier, because she's already agreed to help Jaskier, and that it doesn't murder her or anybody else, because it would give mages an even more bad rap in Novigrad and more cause to murder all the sorceresses. Ew. So she decides, I'll help you. I won't make you pay anything. Geralt thinks this is weird, but it's because she's already started to cast a spell on him to make him attack the 3 council members that are trying to murder all of the mages.
Oh.
Yeah, so Geralt is running around with the elf following him, saying, Geralt, wake up, what are you doing? And he's like, must attack ladies, nasty man. And it's just, it's funny, because he's thrashing them. He like literally kicks them, tears down some of their pants as well, thrashes them on the bottom with like switches and such. Just absolutely humiliates the three. He doesn't kill him at all, but it takes the entire village to subdue Geralt and throw him into prison.
See, I thought that all Witchers were immune to sorceress' spells.
They're immune to an extent, but they have to work those a lot more. Kind of like a lotion where you have to keep rubbing and rubbing for it to actually take effect or something, instead of just like, boop, there you go, you're moisturized. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So with his, it took a lot longer, and so that's why she's like, hey, take a bath. Hey, I'll talk with you a little bit more. Like, she's like interweaving, because he would notice something's going on with the constant back and forth and everything, distracting him, getting him riled up and pissed off.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that makes it so that she can absolutely manipulate him.
Okay.
Geralt wakes up in prison, and he's like, what the hell happened? And Caradon is explaining that he went on a rampage, attacked the councilmen, and that they were trying to ban the mages. He thrashed them in a stunt of public humiliation, not realizing that he was doing it. Mm-hmm. One of the men who he beat was the bodyguard of the mayor. So he comes in and he starts just berating and beating and kicking the crap out of him. Geralt's done. He's had enough. He didn't realize what he did, but this guy is ready to kill him. He asks him, do you have any last words? Geralt's like, I want you to burst. And he burst. Blood flying everywhere. And that's when it dawned on Geralt that it was him who had the djinn attached to him and not Jaskier. So he's like, oh shit, I done goofed. Meanwhile, Yen thought that Jaskier already spoke his last three wishes because she was able to get it to where he could breathe and talk again. Yes. Vocal cords were still messed up, but they were gonna get back to normal. She was still working to get it back to normal, mm-hmm. So he immediately started doing his two other wishes just to release himself from the djinn, because he still thought that he had the djinn attached to him, but it was actually Geralt. So she starts marking down in chalk on the ground. She doesn't get naked or anything like in the show. That's just sensationalism for the show. Mm-hmm. But she tries to trap the djinn in a bottle or a new vase or something. And it's proving way too powerful. Geralt notices that the sky is turning into almost a tornado type gray-green over top of the tavern. Jaskier gets all the tavern guys out with the elf. So the tavern owner, another guy, and then Jaskier gets those guys out, and Geralt stays in to help Yen. Mm-hmm. Yen's like, you're gonna help me even after everything I've done? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna help you because you saved my buddy, and it's whatever, I want to talk to you about why the hell you did this. But it's proving way too powerful for him, and the roof is starting to collapse and starting to engulf in flames as well.
Oh no.
Yeah. And as that happens, Geralt is like, well, fuck, let me say my last wish. Sapkowski doesn't exactly say what the last wish was, but it's widely known throughout the book readers and the game players that it is that their fates will be bound. So if something happens to him, something will happen to her.
And vice
versa. If he survives, which he knew a way to get out and survive, she will survive. So it was kind of giving the law of surprise, but not exactly. It was saving a life debt for a life debt. You saved my friend, that's a life debt. I'll save you. That sort of situation.
Okay.
But in this, Yenna heard everything. Yenna heard every word of his wish. And she's like, why did you wish for that? You done goofed. And he's like, yeah, well, maybe I did, but let's see how this plays out. Meanwhile, the guys outside are sobbing. The tavern owner isn't too upset, because he had insurance on the place, and
Well,
since he
of
had
course.
insurance on the place and the place was running down and into ruin anyway, he's like, I'm rich! Yay!
I can build a new one.
Because there was another rival tavern just across the river that was causing him a lot of issues. The elf and Jaskier are crying and sobbing, and they're like, they're dead! Oh god, they're dead! No, they're dead!
Oh no.
And suddenly they start hearing Yen like moaning, and they're like, they're half alive! She's in so much pain! Oh no! And then they hear
Oh.
Geralt starting to moan, and they're like, oh god, they're so much in pain!
Oh,
Meanwhile,
they're
on
not
the
no pain.
inside, they are doing they got so heated in their passion play of fighting back and forth that they started doing the horizontal cha-cha slide. Like they that was spanking that monkey. They was spanking that monkey really freaking hard, and everybody was like, no, they're dead, until Caradon, who was absolutely in love with Yen, decided, I'm gonna go peek in the window like a peeping Tom and check out what's going on. He does it, and he sees that they're doing the do. And he's like, let's go to the rival tavern. They'll catch up later. And Jaskier's
poor
like,
elf's
wait,
heart.
they're alive? He's like, yeah, they'll both catch up a little later. Let's just go to the tavern. And so they go to the tavern. And that was the end of that short story.
Oh my. That poor elf's heart. Broken.
Yeah. They did describe that in the show as well. They didn't have like as many characters, and they were showing it was the mayor's house instead of the merchant, because, you know, budgeting and such. Hiring on other actors when they have like crap ton of extras for the Nilfgaardian army and such that they gotta pay. I can understand that change.
Right.
But it was still a little different.
It was, because when Geralt first met Yen, was in an orgy in the show instead of in a bathtub.
That was just sensationalism, just to show her allure.
Yes. Costuming for this episode, I didn't really care for her dress.
Yeah, the strips that were going down to...
If it didn't have that, I would have been okay with it.
So you like the mask and everything, you just did not like the
I don't like the
strips.
shoulder straps that was on her dress. That was a little too much.
Or the spotlight that was directly on Anya.
Yeah.
There's an orgy going around like it's a Gunter song or something. With the, oh, you touch my tra-la-la. You know, that song.
Yeah, no. I also was kind of confused at first with her drawing the amphora, like, on her womb area.
Yeah. See, with that, they didn't have the vessel or the magical item or the vase or something.
Right.
So they were wanting to have it...
Where it was like she was becoming the vessel.
she was becoming the vessel of the djinn, so she could trap it somehow. That part backfired. I think that was also just having nudity just to have nudity.
Yeah, that
but at
could've
the
been.
same time, whenever they have her nude, it's also for an empowering sort of situation, because it's never like a Game of Thrones situation where it's like a bunch of whores or something.
Where they're not nude for, you know, the whole, oh, this is why they're nude. No, this is nude because they're taking women's power into their own.
Exactly. So with this one, they're definitely showing her power. Like, they're using her nudity, and also like with ancient druidic skyclad sort of rituals, which were all nude.
Correct.
Throwing those in combination. But it's also one that guys are like, yeah, but she's also terrifying as hell.
Exactly.
So it's not as much of a as a, oh shit, she's gonna fuck up everything. She's ready to throw her life away for this, man. She crazy, but damn, she's powerful.
Now, in the books, when Geralt made the wishes, did it describe him getting like 3 cuts for each wish?
No, he didn't get like a cut or anything. It was just known by the situations that were around him. If it wasn't for the cuts, that was just showing for the audience on the TV visually, oh crap, he's the one that actually has the wishes. But with that in the books, I don't remember if he got any cuts, but I don't think he did. It
So it was
was
mostly
more
for the
so
show?
him trying to figure out, okay, we got to get Yesker to finish his wishes to get this djinn out as fast as possible, because it's going to destroy the entire freaking town. In turn, he didn't exactly know until the guy blew up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, they showed that in the show,
show,
as well,
right.
that he didn't realize it until the guy blew up, and then they showed the other cut on his forearm. But
And that's when he realized.
with this, it was he went back in his head like, oh crap, I told him to shut up, and the djinn made him shut up, and this dude just exploded. Oh shit, what did I do? I
Right.
done goofed.
Okay. So were there any other points that we wanted to talk about with episode 5? Or do you think we're good?
Were there any that you wanted to?
Well, there was one about the language in the Brooklyn Forest. Is that like an ancient Elvish language
Yes,
that they're speaking?
that's Elder Speak is what they're
Okay.
speaking in that. That's what we know is what they call common. That's how Sapkowski got away with talking in different languages, with it being translated into different languages. Instead
Okay.
of saying he's speaking in Polish, this, or he's speaking in Afrikaans, this, or speaking in English, et cetera, et cetera. He's
Gotcha.
speaking in common. There's common, and then there's Elvish, Elder Speak. They don't call it Elvish because that's like more of a TM of Lord of the Rings.
Gotcha.
So it's Elder Speech, Elder Speak.
So that's when he, instead of calling it Elvish like Tolkien would,
Yes.
he'd call it Elder Speech to differentiate the two.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Was there anything else about the episode that you wanted to talk about? Costuming, lighting, acting, fight scenes, choreo? The giant fan at the end with the freaking ADR that they had to do.
Yes! That was insane.
I really like the practical effects that they did, because it was mostly lighting and wire work with fans.
Right. And sometimes that's the greatest results you can get in the industry for just a certain specific scene.
Almost definitely. If you can make it real, like a reality, that is going to translate to film a lot better than
Oh my gosh,
CG.
yes.
Like with Torque, oof. That CG, oh god, no. But
Still on that CG.
yeah, but with like a wind effect or the lights or something, how they were like using strobes and using different dimming techniques as well with it, so it was like flashing back and forth, and how Anya was like going hard with the acting. On top of that, with like huge turbine.
Whatever
tunnel.
kind of fan that they used.
Yeah, whatever
that was-
kind of fan that they use. Because they use like the same type of fans for the last episode, when it was Yen in her charges for the portals. They used those same fans for that, so it was like the djinn running around, and you were able to clearly see the actors, but it also felt like the djinn was still in that room. So
Right.
the more practical effects that they can do, the better. It's a little bit more expensive. It can be a little bit more dangerous at times, but
But the payoff is worth it.
payoff, yeah. It's just like with photography. If you have wanting to put fire in somebody's hand, you like mix soap, water, lighter fluid so it doesn't burn them, and then you can like light it. And
Not
it'll-
lighter fluid. I think it's rubbing alcohol. Because rubbing alcohol can actually...
Yeah, it's something flammable in the soap, water, and that, so it has like a protective layer on your hand.
Right.
And it has like a really cool effect on that, but that also could be very dangerous. So like doing as much practical effects as they can. They did a lot of practical effects. They also did like one effect in the end of when the genie was leaving. It looked like a Death Eater like zooming up.
Yeah.
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 They
I noticed
used one
that.
of those effects from like Harry Potter with the Death Eaters.
It worked. It definitely made it look like the Jinn was disappearing.
Yeah.
The way that it was supposed to.
So overall, visually, it was a pretty cool episode, but it was also kind of funny because it was Joey with the naked lady, hi, I'm garroted, here's my bulging throat, oh. Like, that's Yaskir's paradise there that he was thrown into.
Yeah. I
Their
would agree.
reactions, though, walking into that orgy,
Yeah.
their reactions were hilarious.
It was like, oh, what did we just walk into?
Okay. So, we are going to go into the second episode now. Holly, what was that about?
So, episode 6, Rare Species. The synopsis for it is a mysterious man tries to entice Geralt to join a hunt for a rampaging dragon. A quest that that attracts a familiar face. Ciri questions who she can trust.
Ciri wasn't much in this episode. It was just like the ending with Mousak and the Doppler and fighting with Cahir. Cahir fighting Cahir, which that was...
She was in it, but not as much as she was in the previous episodes that we covered.
Right. Did you want me to go into the TLDR, or did you want to talk a little bit?
I'd go ahead and do the TLDR first.
So where we first meet them in the show is very similar to where we first meet them. Geralt is fighting a dragon or a basilisk or something. I think it's a basilisk. It's been a while since I read it. But he's fighting, and the alderman and another guy are trying to rob him when Three Jackdaws is like, hey, no, don't do that. He was looking for the White Wolf because there is a hunting party going for a dragon that he wanted to talk to him about. So they go to a tavern, which Three Jackdaws, I forget what his name is. It's like starts with a B, a Borch. I think it's Borch. Borch Three Jackdaws. I'm just going to call him Three Jackdaws. But he is waving around coin, and he has 2 Zerkanian bodyguards with him, Tea and Zaya. And he says to the bartender, give me all the food and drink that you can give me the best beds in this tavern, give me a bath, and give me, keep the food and wine coming. All the food and wine. Just keep it coming. And he's throwing gold coins and tossing coins like he's tossing a coin to a witcher. And this is the part where I'm like starting to think this dude is either super rich or there's something going on with him and he might be a dragon because of Smaug. Thinking about Smaug with like all the dragon lores where there's always gold around. So they do that. They start talking. Mm-hmm. Yaskir is trying to flirt mercilessly with the Zerkanian bodyguards. Doesn't really work. Geralt gets it on with the Zerkanian bodyguards with 3 jackdaws. There's a foursome that happens. Yeah. They're in the bathtub, and Geralt is doing the do with one of I think it was Taya. It might have been Taya. Let me look real fast. Vea. They get out and they see the hunting party starting to come in, which are Yarpin Zigrin's people. He's a dwarf. He's an awesome, badass dwarf. There's the Reavers, a couple of King Nidamir's people, and there's this rumor about a sorceress coming. Geralt's like, last thing they saw was she has coal black hair, bright, vibrant, violet eyes. Geralt's like, I'm not going to help out. And he keeps like, at first he's like, I'm not going to help you guys because I don't kill sentient creatures. Mm-hmm. That's what really got 3 jackdaws into like, I can maybe use this guy. Three Jackdaws convinces him to come on as soon as there's more and more talk about Yen, and it's definitely Yen. He hasn't seen Yen in quite some time after they decided to settle down in Vangeberg for 3 months, and Geralt left without a word. He just left her a note on her pillow and left her.
Oh,
Yeah. So
rude.
he wants to see Yen, even though he was the one who initially left because he got bored.
He got bored?
He was the one that initially got bored with the life of maybe a contract here, a contract there, while Yen is the sorceress of Aiden. Just doing her thing, whatever the hell she wants for whatever she wants. So he leaves her. She's pissed. They meet up in the hunting party, and they all decide to go hunting together. It's King Nidomir, the loathsome little shit. He makes he's very reminiscent of a Joffrey in a way.
Ew.
Not as bad as a Joffrey, but close. All he wants is more money and more reach of power to get rid of Radovid the Third or the Second. I'm not sure which one. But wants to get more power in this dynamic before all the kingdoms, all the Nordlings merge together to fight Nilfgaard. So they join up the hunting party. They are trying to hunt down this green dragon. There's a bunch of gold and an egg that they're chasing. Yen is chasing after dragon hearts to cure infertility. Geralt calls her out on this, saying, "Hey, you're a sorceress. You pretty much have, like, your eggs shrivel up the more you use source. It's like a give and take with that, but you weren't, like, forcibly having a hysterectomy or something like that. It's the force inside you just didn't really work. Your biological clock is far from gone." And at this point, she's also, like, in her 70s. I think she's in her 70s at this point. But they try to stay clear from each other. Three Jackdaws invites this other guy that comes in. He's an annoying dude that I like to call Mr. PETA. He's a druid, and his name is Doragore. He likes to tell people, you can't kill creatures. Any creature at all. You can't kill basilisks. Witchers are evil. They're the scum of the earth. All they want to do is just murder everything to death with no regard for any life, or he's very attacking, like a PETA, like a don't kill those chickens or something like that. Even if you have, like, so many food allergies and you can only eat chickens, they still call you, like, the scum of the earth because you had to kill a chicken to eat a chicken. He's one of those.
What?
Yeah, that's why I call him Mr. PETA. He's annoying.
I would not want to be in a party with him.
No. But they're riding together. They meet up into an old bridge. It's a rickety bridge that Geralt's like, maybe we should find a way around. Three Jackdaws is like, let's find a way around. The Reavers are like, no, we're gonna go through this bridge. It's gonna be fine. They go through. Everything falls to shit. They almost fall to their death. So, like, how in the show, it's the Reavers cut off their path or something, and they have to go around this mountain area, and they fall. It's actually a bridge, a rickety bridge, like, high up in the mountains.
it was the dwarves that were taking them through a shortcut through the mountains.
that didn't happen. They weren't going through any shortcuts. They were going through a bridge, and that bridge collapsed.
Gotcha.
It was an old dwarven bridge, but it collapsed under the weight of all the horses and such. The Reavers were no help. King Nidomir's people were no help at all. Geralt was hanging on by a thread. He almost died. Three Jackdaws disappeared with Tea and Vea. Yen was almost killed as well. Yarpen Zigrin and his merry band of the seven dwarves. They were trying to help pull him up with Jaskier. They were the only ones that were actually helping with Doragore a little bit. I think, I'm not 100%, I'd have to reread that with if Doragore was the one that was helping them as well. But Yen is clinging on to his pants for dear life and saying, and Geralt's like, don't look down, I'll climb up. And she's like, oh, I'll look straight ahead, and is right at his member. that starts getting Yen, like, back into the groove of, like, I miss this dude. She's just missed the D. That's really what she missed. Long story short, they get up there. There is a giant golden dragon that's yelling at them and talking to them and saying, I will fight you one at a time in solo fight, in like a solo one-on-one match.
Oh.
If you can best me, you can have the treasures, you can have the egg. But he's taunting the guys. What one of the shows did really well, which was absolutely shitty. Really, really shit show. Back in the 90s, there was a Polish show, Polish movie of The Witzman, which is The Witcher. That show did a better job showcasing what happened in the book versus the Netflix series. The Netflix took their own storyline for this because they didn't have the golden dragon taunting people. The one knight dude that was in the show, Sir Ike, yeah, he wasn't in it. It was another one of another two guys of Niedermier's knights that were like, oh yeah, we'll fight this dragon, and all of a sudden crushed him. Just like, the dragon was so freaking massive that with just one paw or something, or whatever you would call it, one claw, just smashed down on him, and he was smushed. And he's like, retrieve your dead from the battlefield. Thank you. Next. And I'm just like, holy shit, what the hell's going on? King Niedermier thought that Dorgore and Geralt and Yen, when they caught up to everybody, was a traitor because they were trying to stop him from killing the golden dragon, because Geralt's like, whoa, golden dragons exist? They're real? Because he didn't know that golden dragons existed. They were either went extinct or didn't exist. Niedermier's people, to stop them from going into the caves to raid the gold, kill the dragon egg, kill the mother of the dragons, the green dragon, who was dead in her crypt or cave area. Stop them from doing that. Ended up tying them to carts, pretty much. And so Yen, and they were like in their own separate carts that they were tied up against, so that way they were bait for the dragon to eat, sacrifices. And if they didn't get eaten, he would have killed them. Niedermier is a loathsome little shit. The dragon egg actually hatched, and it was a little lizard-like, cute dragon prince sort of dragon that was nipping and breathing fire at Yen's ankles and such, and scorched her ankles and scorched Dorgore, and he passed out out of fear. All three got free, and Geralt was like, well, fuck this, I'm just gonna like kick their asses out of here. Scared him out of there. The remaining Reavers, and Yarp and Zigrin's folks were given gold and said, hey, this is the reason you were here in the first place, right? They're like, yeah, here's your gold, go away. And he was like, fuck, I'll take it, bye. So that was enough proof for the kingdom that the dragon was dead. Geralt and Yen both were told that they are bound by destiny, but nothing good would come of it if they continued seeing each other. But Yen's like, I don't care. She didn't leave him, and like she did in the show. Vea told Ventrillenmirth, which is the dragon, who's actually three jackdaws. Three jackdaws is a dragon. They can transform into anything, any animal, any human. He decided a human because dragons think that all humans are repugnant and gross, and he's the only one that doesn't think that they're repugnant and gross. Decided to transform into a dragon, and dragons, Ventrillenmirth is like, we're gonna let you guys go, do your thing, nothing good will come of it. But Vea's like, I'll always remember the time in the tub that we had together in front of Yen, and Yen's like, oh, what?
Oh my.
But after Geralt, like way, way, way before, when Geralt was like, why are you following them? And Vea's like, he is most beautiful. He tells at the very end of the book, like the last line is Geralt saying, you're right, he is most beautiful. So, yeah, that one is a little not as comprehensive because I haven't really read that in quite a long time or gone through it, combed through it. But that's pretty much what happened in the book compared to what happened in the show.
Yeah, the show's a little different. Just, not by much, but a little different. I do like in the show when they're introducing each other at the campsite. Jaskier is giving his real name instead of just going, "I'm Jaskier."
Yeah.
That was cool. But Sir Ike, he's a dum-dum. He is such a dum-dum. Oh my gosh. The Jaskier comes into contact with a creature, and I don't know what the creature's name is, but it's kind of a cute dog-like looking thing with the face.
It looks like an overgrown humanoid chihuahua.
In a way, yeah, in a way. And Geralt's like, don't hurt it, don't kill it, just give it food, it'll go away. Well, Sir Ike, being the dum-dum, kills the creature, cooks up the meat, eats it, and what happens? He gets the runs. And then we meet the Doppler again.
Yeah.
So the Doppler, he's still going on as Mousek, but this time Dara is like, he's not who you think he is. Ask him questions that only he would know. And the Doppler didn't know certain questions, like the answers to the certain questions that Siri was asking. Mm-hmm. And then that's when they find out that he's a Doppler. And then afterwards, he takes Siri's place, which was odd.
Yeah. Well, anything else about the show, about the episode that you wanted to cover?
Do dragons always know futures for people just by looking at them?
Not all dragons do.
Is it only like certain specific ones, like the gold dragons?
It's mostly the gold dragons because they are so intertwined with the force, the living force. There's the force and there's chaos. It's two sides of the same coin. That's where they got the chaos from.
Gotcha.
But they can see into what was, what will be, and they can sense it. And they are one of the most mythical, magical creatures, just like unicorns. The unicorns are also in the show, in the books, sorry. Dragons, golden dragons, are really the only ones that have any sort of foresight into destiny because they are the most original form of creature in creation of the continent, in creation of the conjunction of the spheres, in any sort of living force. They are the top dog that were hunted into almost an existence.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Because I'm big into mythical creatures like unicorns, dragons, phoenixes, all that. So when seeing the dragon in the show, that was like, oh, bringing back my teenage youth.
Yeah, I didn't like how they created Villain Trenton Mirth in the show. He's too tiny and not as dragon-like. He looked more like the basilisks of the CD Projekt Red games, but with like a golden hue to it.
Because basilisks are more snake-like.
No, basilisks in there are more dragon-like. They're more winged in the game, in the CD Projekt Red games. In the Polish lore, they're more dragon-like.
Okay.
They have wings, kind of griffin-ish, but not. It's more scaly griffin.
Do you think they purposefully made him this small for this specific scene?
I think they only did what they can fit in the budget and in the space that they had. They needed to put some sort of dragon in the cave and they had to fill that space where they could still have actors in the room. It's not like a smog filling up the entire cave. The cave is bigger. That's
what I mean. Do you think that gold dragons can actually shift size on them being full-size dragons?
Oh, no. When they are in their full dragon form, when they're in their full glory...
They're their true size.
They're their true size, yeah. They're more of especially with the Nordic side, the way they created that is more of like a more of like a Middle Eastern sort of dragon. If you look at like dragonology and such, it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more scaly, whereas in the more European sort of dragons are kind of more fluffy, kind of more, they do have the scales, but they also have more wings and such. So they made it a little to fit more of the Zerrikanian, which Zerrikania is like a mix between the Middle East and Africa, North Africa. They decided to have it a little bit more of the Africans and Middle Eastern sort of style of dragon on how in their own lores create and describe their own dragons instead of more of a European style dragon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So anything else? Any more comments?
Not really. I mean, other than yen being yen.
Yen is always yen. All right. Out of 10 dragon eggs, what did you think of this episode? These 2 episodes?
Out of 10 dragon eggs?
Yes.
Combined, I'd give them an 8 combined.
Okay.
Episode 5, I'd give it a 7.
Okay.
And I'd probably do the same with episode 6, about a 7.5.
All right. That's fair.
What about you?
With the first episode, because of the Brooklyn thing, it still breaks me there. So that one I would probably, it was better than the last one, but that one I would probably give it about a 7. Instead of a 6.5, I would give that one a 7. Mm-hmm. The second episode, it was more fun to watch than comparing it to the books. So I would give that one about an 8. But combined total, I would give it about an 8.5.
Okay. Yeah, kind of around the same.
So next episode that we are going to do is the big season finale, the last 2 episodes of The Witcher. We're coming to an end. After that, we have a couple more things lined up, like a review on the new Redwall game that is an indie. If you are a fan of Brian Jake's series of Redwall, Mossflower, it is in that lore.
Yes.
We will be getting into that, and we will be getting into a couple more nerdy type topics. Like what, Holly?
Oh, geez, there's so many. I mean,
There are.
We've got other movies that we could discuss. Mm-hmm. We've got other video games we could discuss. We've got so many things, like products, like new products that we've seen that we think are so amazing.
So if there's anything else you would like us to review or take a look at, please drop a comment below about some suggestions and such. We have a lot of things lined up, but we would also like to hear what you guys would like to hear about with our random takes and such. I know the Witcher series is a little bit more like half of it's books, half of it's TV, and that's just a review, a recap. But these would be a little bit more deep dives of first time playing, first initial thoughts and such.
Oh yeah.
So we will get back to you on that as soon as you guys get back to us.
So whenever you're ready, leave us a comment below. We've also got links to our Facebook and both our Twitter pages.
Yep.
As well as the Trelawney Productions Twitter page.
Yes.
So give us a follow there. And if you want to message us on Facebook, you can message us on Facebook too.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up for us today. Long ass wrap ups for 2 minutes. Anyway. As always, I am Jordan. This is Holly.
Yes.
And in the immortal words of Christina,
Hail Satan and Cthulhu.
and
See ya.
bye-bye.